smashing through the lies, destroying narratives, and breaking through the mainstream media programming. This is tomorrow's America. Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching Tomorrow's America. My name is William Donahue, and today I'm going to be talking about the World Economic Forum. So I wrote a little description of the World Economic Forum, and basically what it says is, the World Economic Forum, founded in 1971 by Klaus Schwab and now headed by Larry Fink. They have a strategic partnership with the UN and work to advance the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Those are 17 goals of sustainability. The word sustainability, the whole thing, you'd really have to read into their documents and what they say in the updates and all that. There's a lot of white papers that are put out by the UN, so many that you wouldn't even have time to read it. But things like rations on clothing and different things like that they call sustainability. Not a prosperous future, sustainable for everyone into the future, but very high level controlled future that might not include everybody. So this gives the UN corporate influence over countries. It's basically globalism. At this meeting, multinational corporations, central bankers, and politicians meet to create centralized control over its member countries and corporations over its members. They're famous for quotes like, "You will own nothing and like it," and "you will eat the bugs." That's a Klaus Schwab famous line. And they believe in a surveillance-heavy future, digital IDs, technocracy, climate-based restrictions, all kinds of things like that. That like we've seen with COVID-19, the whole world responded to COVID-19 in unified fashion. They all did 6-foot social distance. They all did masking. They all did, the vaccine pushes. That was all handed down from the top down by the World Economic Forum to the governments, to the corporations. There wasn't any law that was passed that said every Walmart has to have stickers on the floor that say how far apart you stand. It was just an understood thing because all these people are members of the same institution. So I'm going to play a little background info on Klaus Schwab. Basically, Klaus Schwab is the one who founded the World Economic Forum. He has since stepped down, but he is the one who created the whole thing, and his ideas and his thing, his institution lives on. So let's look into the background of some of what Klaus Schwab's family was involved in, what he believes in, and let's take a look at his Star Trek suit that he wears, and just the whole creepy nature of the whole thing. So
some people would say this revolution is characterized by the fight of robots against human beings, and we will win this fight.
Professor Klaus Schwab was born in 1938 in Ravensburg, Germany, where Nazi crimes against humanity were committed. His father, Eugene Wilhelm Schwab, was the managing director of Escher Weiss Ravensburg, a company that used slave labor to manufacture weapons of war for the Third Reich. While Klaus's father was at the helm, the Nazi Party awarded Escher Weiss Ravensburg the title of National Socialist Model Company. Years later, Klaus Schwab joined the board of directors at Escher Weiss Ravensburg, where he played a key role in the development of South Africa's nuclear weapons program during the darkest years of the racist apartheid regime. Today, Klaus Schwab is the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum.
If you'd like to meet the people who are supposed to repair the state of the world or give a piece of your mind to the bankers who helped get us into this mess, we can tell you where to find a lot of them. The World Economic Forum.
Founded in 1971, the World Economic Forum is an international private organization which receives billions of tax-free dollars from its members and their global enterprises. Every year, the WEF brings together its members with world leaders, big pharma executives, tech titans, Hollywood celebrities, media personalities, and internet influencers to meet in the secluded mountains of Davos, Switzerland.
It is a tiny town folded into the Swiss Alps, a village where you could bump into Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, the head of Google, and the Queen of Jordan, all in one place. A lot of reporters cover the forum, but few get inside. It turns out there are two Davoses, one you see and one you don't. After hours, there are hundreds of private parties where deals are done. People who can't be seen together in public can meet here.
Your Royal Highnesses, Excellencies, distinguished heads of state and government, the future is built by us, by a powerful community as you here in this room.
Klaus Schwab, the founder of the WEF, is particularly upfront and even proud of his ability to shape and influence world politics.
I created the community of global shapers as a means, as a force to shape our common future.
And of course, their Global Young Leaders program is a grooming ground so that when they ultimately infiltrate cabinets,
We penetrate the cabinets.
they will likely tend to govern a certain way.
Nobody will be safe if not everybody is vaccinated.
The names and the countries he mentioned ended up being some of the most dystopian and authoritative during this pandemic.
Names like Ms. Merkel, Vladimir Putin, and so on.
Other names, Jacinda Ardern, Sebastian Kurz, Mauricio Macri, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Ma, Gavin Newsom, Stéphane Bancel, Chelsea Clinton, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Leana Wen, Alexander and Jonathan Soros, George Soros' sons, and several of the Rothschilds. And of course,
Now, who could represent such a world better than you, Prime Minister?
In 2000,
So that video goes on. Klaus Schwab, like they said, he started the group so that they could shape the future, and they do that by either creating the climate for certain things to happen, or by capitalizing on things that happen, like natural disasters or wildfires or things like that. So obviously, you saw all those politicians, all those Hollywood stars. They all get together and they meet and they come up with some ideas and they sign on to them, and then they live by them. They push them. They advance those ideas to the public by just being a unified voice. And they're not really, like, individually, they probably wouldn't be unified, but they are signed on. They're a member of this group that pushes these ideas. You saw Leonardo DiCaprio. He turns out to be one of the big voices of what's going on. If you saw One Battle After Another, the movie that literally promotes anti-ICE riots, that was made years ago, and they put it out right before this whole thing started in Minnesota. So they have their beliefs, like you saw there. Chatham House rules. They have private meetings that they don't disclose. That's all illegal. It's illegal for our representatives to go and have a private off-the-record meeting somewhere and then come back and act on on that behalf sorry, I just got a phone call, to have a private meeting and then go and implement the things that they met in private about. That should all be things that we could, Freedom of Information Act, that we could request to see what was said, but it's not possible. It's all private. It's all hidden, and it's shadowy government type of things. So this is a video of Yuval Noah Harari, and he likes to get into spirituality and things like that. You see him here on the side. This is you know, some of the, like, basically they put on a face like they are doing things, you know, just for economics and just to help people, but then they bring people on and they push these crazy ideas. This is Yuval Noah Harari talking about AI taking over religions and the legal system.
As far as putting words in order is concerned, AI already thinks better than many of us. Therefore, anything made of words will be taken over by AI. If laws are made of words, then AI will take over the legal system. If books are just combinations of words, then AI will take over books. If religion is built from words, then AI will take over religion. This is particularly true of religions based on books, like Islam, Christianity, or Judaism. Judaism calls itself the religion of the book, and it grants ultimate authority not to humans, but to words in books. Humans have authority in Judaism not because of our experiences, but only because we learn words in books. Now, no human...
So that's not true. The system of laws that we have on the books was created to have a human element. Like, for example, if a jury, let's say somebody does something, they go out and they technically commit a crime, but it was a build-up to it, and it was the only thing necessary, and there's a human element of compassion, and there was nobody really harmed involved, or whatever the scenario is. If that jury chooses to say the person's not guilty because they empathize with what happened, they are allowed to do that. Under a system with AI, if you check certain boxes, you're off to jail, and there's no human element to it. Religion is the same way. God made the Bible and made religion, or Christianity, Judaism, to connect with you, to have a connection with you, to give you free will. You read into it, you have your life experiences, you get out of it what you get in. The body of Christ, some people are the eyeball, some people are the hand. So AI can't customize things to what your useful skills are and your background. AI can regurgitate what's programmed into it. So this is never going to happen, obviously, and this is like a really dystopian idea, just on the face of it. It's kind of a crazy thing to publicly come out and just advertise that this is what you stand for. So the whole theme of this year's meeting is to have an open dialogue. Last year, their theme was creating trust. So they obviously know that they've lost trust with the public. Trump's about to come out and say, hey, if you don't agree with importing tons of migrants and shutting down all your factories and destroying your country, this is what America's doing. Why don't you follow us and follow our example, and we'll show you the way. So he goes to the meeting and right in front of all these people, calls them all out for what they are. Howard Lutnick came out from the Trump administration and did the same thing. And then you'll see people like Carney and other people. You might have to go out and watch some of these videos yourself, because I don't have time to play everything on this show. But the point of this show is to show you, to expose what the World Economic Forum is, so that you could be interested and pay attention to how they're trying to shape your future and make decisions for you and do things that will affect you. So I encourage everyone to go and listen to Mark Carney's speech, listen to Trump's speech, and get an idea of where people are at, because these people are then going to turn around and say do all the things that they said that they were going to do at this meeting, or adopt ideas from other people that they're have like-mindedness with. So
that our society.
This is Klaus Schwab. Now, we saw Klaus Schwab's background, and we saw what the World Economic Forum is, and we saw how they've achieved being not trusted. Okay, we saw how they came to be untrustworthy, and then this is Klaus Schwab. He's gonna say, well, you've got to listen to your heart and compassion and blah, 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 all this stuff. And in reality, he's just trying to pull the wool over your eyes, because they've been exposed for the past 5 years. They've been exposed for what they really are.
Professor Klaus Schwab, you write that our society faces a dramatic but elusive crisis. Can you explain?
We are missing in our society two fundamental pillars. It's truth and it's trust. And without restoring those pillars, we will not be able to solve the big global issues which we face at this moment. It's a keyword of dialogue, of listening each to another, and in such a way to see the different aspects, the different dimensions of a problem. And that's fundamental in order to be able to create afterwards solutions.
If there is one decisive factor of the intelligent age, what is it?
I think it's the capability, in view of the fast and disruptive technological change, to remain human beings. And as human beings, we have to exercise empathy, we have to listen each to another, and I think we have to analyze issues not just with our brains, but also with our heart, and with an understanding that ultimately we have to serve not ourselves, but society.
Is that why during COVID there was lockdowns in Minnesota? If you were on your porch, and you were outside without a mask on, the police would come by and shoot you with a paintball gun? Was that because we had to listen to each other and follow our hearts? No, that was because Klaus Schwab had control of all the corporations. He had control of America. He penetrated the cabinets, and he, from the top down, ordered a certain response to COVID-19. So, here he is. Now that they're exposed, now that the light has been shed on them, here he comes. He left the World Economic Forum, probably because he's got this creepy German accent, and he literally looks like a James Bond villain and sounds like a James Bond villain. But now he comes crawling back to do a video before the forum starts, and to tell you to have compassion and empathy and listen to people. Well, no one listened to people, when our national sovereignty was being destroyed because the global elites were meeting up in secret and planning out our future. No one's listening to us. We have representative governments that already listen to us. So now I'm going to play for you Larry Fink, who is the new leader of the World Economic Forum. And to be honest, I didn't really watch this video yet. I know that he's going to come out and talk about the decaying trust with the World Economic Forum and all that. I think it's important to mention that the function of an institution is what it does. So if you have an institution that has a mission statement a mile long and says all these nice things, but then they do all these evil things, the function of the institution is not what they said they're going to do, it's what they actually do. And the function of the World Economic Forum is to, limit how much electricity that you use, or give you smart meters, or create 15-minute cities, climate lockdowns, CBDCs, digital IDs. That's the function of the World Economic Forum. So I'm going to play Larry Fink and his opening statement for the meeting.
This is the largest gathering of global leadership of the post-COVID period of time. For many people, this meeting feels out of step with the moment. We hear all about the elites. And how does that play out in an age of populism? How does an established institution make a difference in an era of deep institutional mistrust? And there's some truth to the critique. I believe in this forum for a long time. I certainly wouldn't be leading this if I didn't believe that we can change and make the world better. But it's also obvious that the world now places far less trust in us to help shape what comes next. If the World Economic Forum is going to be useful going forward, it has to regain that trust.
So, sorry about that. So he's saying that, this institution, we believe we could shape the future, but it's obvious that the populists don't trust us anymore. So how can we get the populists to do what we want? Populism means, what the average person thinks. How can we get the populists, because they're obviously against populism, how can we get the populists to do what we want and trust us? Well, we never change anything about the things that we do and never admit any of our faults, but still control the entire world. That's my translation of what he just said. So obviously they know that they're cooked, that they're losing their grip on people, and it's obvious to anyone that this global institution and the UN and NATO and all these things are dying institutions. They've lost their relevance with people. They've lost their necessity. And now independent journalists are going to the meeting and scrumming the attendees. So that means that a journalist will walk up and, just, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, and walk with them as they're walking down the street. And they ask them all the hard questions. Some of the people respond. Some people don't respond. Some people run away. Some people's bodyguards will trip the reporter. We've seen it all, obviously. This video, I'm actually not sure who this reporter is, but she scrums Bill Gates and asks him questions about the COVID-19 vaccine that are really, really, really important questions that he completely refuses to answer.
Ms. Yates, given the complications that came out from the COVID vaccine, do you think that it was actually wrong to push such a thing on the world? No answers? Mr. Gates, can you at least accept now that it is public domain and common knowledge that the COVID vaccine was basically a failure? Can you accept that and at least apologise to the world for getting it wrong? It's okay to get things wrong if you admit you get things wrong when you are wrong. Can you do that? Come on, Bill. The theme of the WEF this year is spirit of dialogue. Let's have a conversation, an open dialogue. Can you answer some of these questions? Okay, how about ignore these questions if there were complications with the COVID vaccine and you got things wrong and people were harmed and died?
Sorry. All right. Thanks so much.
Bill, can you at least answer one of those questions? Well, actually, you're walking in my way. Bill, often they say, you know, we should trust the experts when it comes to vaccination. Yeah, how are you an expert? You
see how they did the old pick and roll, the guy's shoulders into him. They're pushing him off the street. They don't want to be held accountable for their actions, and they certainly don't want to answer any questions without a prepared statement that, and you know, Bill Gates. If you check out my other YouTube channel, The Citizens Report, I wrote a song about Bill Gates and the psyop of him wearing a pink sweater and his little nerd glasses, so that you know, the average person thinks, oh well, he's this nice guy. What are you talking about? How what do you mean that he planned Event 201 and all these other things? We're getting super deep, and I'm trying to ride surface level here on this video because I want to focus on the World Economic Forum, but everything I'm saying you should look into because it's a key part of the whole bigger picture. Each individual thing you could do a whole podcast on. You could do a whole podcast on just Event 201, but that happened 5-6 years ago. So you know, if you haven't seen it, I suggest you look at it. So they scrummed Bill Gates. Now the next video I'm going to play is Rebel News out of Canada, and they're awesome. Ezra Levant is an awesome guy. Ad playing. Rebel News, Ezra Levant, he's an awesome guy. He goes to the World Economic Forum every year and does these interviews and catches people off guard, and it's really awesome to see. Here he is interviewing Justin Trudeau. Trying to get this video up full screen for you. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I did here. Well, there we go. Okay. So here's Ezra Levant interviewing Justin Trudeau. And there we go. Sheesh. Look at Justin Trudeau. He's got his new main squeeze, Katy Perry, there with him. Okay, here we go.
Mr. Trudeau, what are you doing here at Davos? How come you never comment? This is the spirit of dialogue. It's the name of the conference. How come you won't dialogue, Prime Minister?
You're not getting into the spirit of dialogue here. Look at that.
Who paid for you to come here? Was it taxpayers? What do you make of the Federal Court of Appeal upholding the ruling that your martial law was illegal? They said you violated.
It's good to see you, Ezra. It's been a long time. How you been? How you been keeping?
Pretty well, but you didn't speak to me.
I'm worried about you.
I don't think you have.
You stopped speaking to me after the boxing match. I never heard from you again.
That's not true. Every time we tried to come into contact with you, you had us arrested.
I never had you arrested.
You beat up my colleague David Menzies. Your bodyguards did.
Your personal bodyguards beat up David Menzies.
RCMP, the official police of Canada that you're speaking against?
Yeah.
Well,
I think
you're not going to trust our institutions, Ezra. There's a problem there.
I think our institutions have been weakened by you, to be quite candid.
That is your right to believe that and to feel that. And that's certainly something that you've continued to spread, people not trusting our institutions. A certain skepticism is important, but spreading of misinformation and disinformation is just irresponsible. I think you know that, Ezra. But you've got a good little gig coming on. You've paid for all these people to come to Davos. I encourage you to continue to ask questions and challenge people, but to try and do it in a way that is grounded in facts and reality.
You've introduced more censorship. Thank you very much. A conversation is not you lecturing me. A conversation is a back and forth, not you just lecturing people. You misunderstood.
Your time lecturing and haranguing people and creating outrage. There's no need to...
you introduced more censorship bills than any other kind of bill. You don't believe in free speech. C-63 and all your other bills are about squelching people who you disagree with.
As well, you continue to make your points, and you're more than welcome to.
So far, but not if you get your way.
Ezra, I think you know that.
I feel like you owe the Canadians an apology for...
Have a good day, sir.
You feel like you owe the world an apology for your behavior during COVID?
Have a good day, sir.
Is it bizarre not being able
to me? Please don't knock into me.
So he doesn't answer one single question. He says that none of his questions are based in facts. He's promoting misinformation. Obviously, you could see he backs up what he says with the clips. He backs up what he says with court cases. And Justin Trudeau and his girlfriend there, or whatever, Katy Perry, who supposedly went to space. Obviously, it's funny because I just saw that shuttle that landed in the water, and they had to pull the shuttle out of the water, and all the astronauts, real astronauts, getting out of the pod wearing their space suits, and the whole thing. It's very funny that they say that Ezra Levant is pushing misinformation. If anyone hasn't seen Ezra Levant in his work, I suggest you follow him on Twitter or X and check out his videos. This is on YouTube. So just type in Rebel News and look up Ezra Levant, because following his coverage of the Davos World Economic Forum meeting is a great way to be informed and a great way to get content like this. There's another video of Rebel News, and this is another leader. This is Melanie Joy. Okay. So, here's that for you.
Why are you cozying up to China with their human rights abuses? China and Hamas, there's a bit of a pattern there, don't you think?
I'm sorry, are you going to trip right now?
No, I don't think so, but I'm worried that you are whitewashing China's human rights abuses just to troll Donald Trump.
Well, listen, you can explain that to your viewers. We have a different point of view. And so we're doing it for us, for Canada.
Well, your prime minister said that China was the #1 security threat, and now he's making a partnership with them.
I think the biggest security threat to Canada is China.
So you heard what the prime minister had to say.
What do you have to say about this?
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
We're just trying to do a job here. Thanks.
And I'm trying to do my job as well.
That's great.
Run away, bravely run away, bravely run away. There's Canada's great pride right there. To do.
So, again, doesn't want to be held accountable, doesn't want to answer any questions. She just backs whatever Mark Carney says. You heard him speak. We're getting close with China, and I'm going to whitewash whatever human rights abuses that happened with the Uyghurs or whatever Ezra Levant is referring to. And that's just who these people are. So it's great to have independent journalists go out and cover these types of things, because otherwise like 20 years ago, they wouldn't. You wouldn't really know about this unless you were super keyed in or a member.
The polls, and President Trump responded.
Says you were a member of the organization or you were clued into what was going on. You wouldn't really know about this. So now having this be a mainstream thing is what having this be exposed is what has made them come out and say, okay, we recognize that we're not trustworthy, but we still want to do what we want to do. So now we have to, pretend that we want to have dialogues with people. So speaking of Canada, this is Mark Carney, and this is a clip of him being asked if he's a globalist and saying you're the epitome of a globalist. And then he goes on to again not answer the question. So I have to get to this. Might take a second for me to find in the video where I want to play. But
promoting peace, and so the mechanics and how it works that way.
Okay, final question. President Trump and a lot of people who agree with him condemn globalism a lot. And I suspect, you would be the kind of epitome of a globalist. You worked for Goldman Sachs, I believe. You were a central banker. You're comfortable and lived in several countries. Is globalism, first of all, is it a thing? And is it over?
I think, well, look, understanding how the world works, having an appreciation for other cultures, understanding the connections, and being able to, or at least appreciating ways that how we connect, whether it's through technology, trade, investment, culture, can enrich our lives, and that's a good thing, and also help solve problems. Being detached from where you live and the broader needs of society, there is an epithet for that. I don't know that the G word is the one. There's certainly what we're finding, to go back to the points I was making, is that there are a number of like-minded countries that want to work through partnership to achieve those goals for their citizens and for the world more broadly. The call is for more to recognize what's really going on right now, and to pool their resources to the benefit of citizens. So it won't be global, it won't cover the globe, but it will be more powerful.
Okay, Prime Minister, thank you very much indeed.
So he's saying, obviously, you just heard him say that, knowing what's going on in the world and detaching yourself from where you live to benefit everybody isn't a bad thing, and blah, 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 blah. He's admitting to being a globalist without saying that he's a globalist. He's trying to obfuscate and play little word games to cover up what he really believes in. He was a central banker in London. Like I said, these things are being exposed and these people are being held to account, and that's why questions like this are being asked. So Mark Carney is literally the epitome of a globalist. Now, like you saw in the video about Klaus Schwab's background, they do have private meetings. And I believe that this guy thought that he was participating in one of those private meetings. But James O'Keefe went undercover, went there, and caught this on an undercover interview, undercover journalism, caught this, and I'll just let you hear it for yourself.
So we invest in these technologies to assist with the warming climate, and the effect of sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere will help block some of the warming, and the particles stay in the air for 1 year. So And actually, we're speaking to some of the airplane manufacturers and to see if they can emit some of our technology into the atmosphere to help with the global warming. That's right. Yeah, climate. I mean, we don't like to use the term climate engineering. It scares people, so we prefer.
But it's but for me, being an engineer, I think that's actually what you do. It's,
oh yes,
you can have financial engineering, you can have, I'm sure, climate engineering, because it involves something that's more scientific.
Yes, exactly. You're an engineer, you understand. And from Sweden, right? So we don't like to call them chemtrails. We don't like to use this.
So what do you call it instead?
Well, we call it aerosol injection. Aerosol. It's kind of like little droplets, and the droplets form in the air, and they stay there for a year.
Yeah.
It's modeled kind of a mini volcanic eruption, actually.
Yeah. I mean, aviation fuels have some sulfur in them, so it creates some sulfur dioxide emissions naturally, and that does have a cooling effect.
Now, this guy, Kennedy Ritchie, who runs a company called For Air, spoke on stage, and he says on his website that he wants to, quote, decarbonize the aviation industry. He actually told me he was trying to eliminate contrails entirely, but then brought up cloud seeding.
A lot of the work actually came out of the military, so they do this all the time.
Have you worked with them at all?
No, because they're a little more closed door about their procedures.
You ever heard of sulfur dioxide?
Yeah.
You've heard of that? Okay. Yeah.
It's actually pretty cheap to do it. The ability to put sulfur dioxide there is actually a pretty cheap way to cool down the earth.
Oh yeah.
So the opportunity for one or two people to do it is impressive. He went a little further. He's like, it'd be interesting if the government starts doing this over each other's territories on purpose. Like if we start getting weather modification as a government, either good or bad. The closest one I'm aware of is someone called the Airborne Snow Observatory. They do some more like weather, I don't want to say modification, but more like upper atmosphere weather monitoring is probably a better term.
Yeah. Now, according to the website Airborne, this is what this guy Ritchie brings up, measures snow depth, snow water equivalence, provides highly accurate snowpack data, is a commercial spin-off of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory snow monitoring technology used to help water managers and scientists.
Earlier today in this room, Al Gore was in this room, Larry Fink was in this room, and now we're in the room talking to people about geoengineering, weather modification, and the trails that come behind airplanes. What's going on?
I would say I had aluminum oxides in my lettuce. Are you kidding me?
Say that again?
Aluminum oxides. Aluminum oxides are part of the cocktail that they're spraying above our heads.
So they're obviously openly talking about something that has been thought to be a conspiracy theory for years and years. And they just talk about it openly. They know about companies that already do it. They say that the military's already doing it, but it's a little more closed door than he's allowed to have access to. I don't know how they don't know who James O'Keefe is, because he wears some of the dumbest fake mustaches and some of the dumbest wigs that you've ever seen. I mean, literally, like you saw his hair was all down in front of his face. Super funny that he's able to get access to these people, but that when he gets access to them, they start not only admitting what they're doing, but bragging about it. And it's pretty funny to watch. So we saw the foundation of the WEF, how it was formed, what they're about, what they talk about in private. We saw members of the WEF, or we saw the WEF having to be accountable for not being trusted. And then we saw the reasons why they're not trusted, because they won't answer questions. They're doing aerosol spraying in the sky. They have these meetings. That guy was probably at the meeting thinking like, oh, cool, someone to talk to. He was an aviation guy. He said, someone cool to talk to about aviation. We both know about the same thing, cloud seeding. Maybe I can connect with this guy and buy some of his sulfur to spray in the sky or whatever. So that's what goes on behind closed doors at these meetings. Now, this is Howard Lutnick. and he's talking about how America is breaking away from the World Economic Forum and not going to follow their program. And it's a pretty good icebreaker for then the next video when Donald Trump comes out and really lays down what America's future policies are going to be.
Okay. We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
He makes a great point there, and obviously, you know, the way of thinking that he's talking about. He said, we're going to focus on our country. We're going to build the best products. We're not going to go out and use slave labor from China. We're going to pay people a working wage to build up the people so that they, in a way, stimulate the economy. You pay them enough to be able to go out and buy products, and those products are made by other people who have jobs, and it stimulates the economy. You're building things at home. You're building your own pharmaceuticals. You're building your own batteries. You're building your own weapons. Everyone has jobs. You have what you need, and if you're gonna need to depend on someone else for trade, it better be your allies, not China, who is an Eastern country. But you know, oh, let's all just dedicate suicidally, go for whatever China has to say, or suicidally go into a climate policy that is unsustainable without reliance on China, just because the World Economic Forum told us to. So that was Howard Lutnick talking about globalism being failed and how America is not going to be globalist.
Hey, this is what I want. With Wix, you can.
Sorry about that. So right now I'm pulling up the clip of Donald Trump, but he's saying, and Trump's about to reiterate, that America's not going to be globalist. We're not going to sell out to China. We're not going to do whatever the World Economic Forum says. And if you'd like to follow our model and be a nationalist and be for your people and promote prosperity in your own countries, then do what America's doing. You know, focus on your region of the world, better yourselves, and then compete with other countries on an open market, and you know, may the best man win, I guess. Right now, nobody's winning. China's moving in on the United States. Europe is falling because of their migrant problems, their economy, their never-ending war with Russia that Europe refuses to sign a peace agreement on. Russia's been ready. The U.S. has been ready. I'm sure the millions of Ukrainians that have died are ready. That war is worse than World War II. You'll hear Trump talk about that a little bit. I suggest everyone, if you want to know what Trump's trying to do and you want to know where he really stands, you have to go and watch this whole speech, because he's telling the world why and how and what we are going to do. And he's saying whether they like it or not. The World Economic Forum has had all this power, but it's an illusion of power that's only powerful if you just do what they say. If you go against the program, they have no enforcement action to make you do the things they want you to do. So I'm going to kind of skip around here with the Donald Trump speech and play two different parts that I thought were important. But like I said, I encourage everyone to go and watch it for yourself. So go to 3 minutes and 50 seconds here. Close enough.
More than a year, maybe like a year and 1 month.
Oh.
But it's happened very quickly. This afternoon, I want to discuss how we have achieved this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore. They're not recognizable. We can argue, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to and say, I recognize it. And that's not in a positive way. That's in a very negative way. And I want to see Europe go good, but it's not heading in the right direction. In recent decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever increasing government spending, unchecked mass migration, and endless foreign imports. The consensus was that so-called dirty jobs and heavy industry should be sent elsewhere, that affordable energy should be replaced by the Green New Scam, and that countries could be propped up by importing new and entirely different populations from faraway lands. This was the path that sleepy Joe Biden administration and many other Western governments very foolishly followed, turning their backs on everything that makes nations rich and powerful and strong. And there's so much potential in so many nations. The result was record budget and trade deficits and a growing sovereign deficit driven by the largest wave of mass migration in human history. We've never seen anything like it. Quite frankly, many parts of our world are being destroyed before our very eyes, and the leaders don't even understand what's happening. And the ones that do understand aren't doing anything about it. Virtually all of the so-called experts predicted my plans to end this failed model would trigger a global recession and runaway inflation. But we have proven them wrong. It's actually just the opposite. In 1 year, our agenda has produced a transformation like America has not seen in over 100 years. Instead of closing down energy plants, we're opening them up. Instead of building ineffective, money-losing windmills, we're taking them down and not approving any. Instead of empowering bureaucrats, we're firing them, and they're going out and getting jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times what they were making in government. So they started off hating me when we fired them, and now they love me. Instead of raising taxes on domestic producers, we're lowering them and raising tariffs on foreign nations to
pay for the damage that they've caused. In 12 months, we have removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payrolls, the largest single-year reduction in government employment since the end of World War II.
So that is one clip of Donald Trump that I wanted to play. And then seems like the timing's off on this video a little bit, but I'm going to play a little bit of what he's talking about with Greenland and basically Europe and the same ideas of how we're breaking away. We're focusing on our national security, our sovereignty, and we're not going to do what the EU wants us to do and stay in a forever war and send them tons of money without getting anything in return. So hopefully this is timed up right. And this is Donald Trump talking about it.
They had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired, there's nothing wrong with it. Many of them, some went in reverse, actually, if you look. Some had great vast wealth, great vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years. And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far, than any other person. You wouldn't have NATO if I didn't get involved in my first term. The war with Ukraine is an example. We are thousands of miles away, separated by a giant ocean. It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. You can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it. When I went in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything. And they only get negative press. That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And I inherited a terrible, terrible situation. If you look, the border was open. The inflation was raging. Everything was bad with the United States when I came into office. But I also inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening too. After I left, I could see it happening.
Biden had given Ukraine and NATO $350 billion, a staggering sum, $350 billion. I came in and just like the southern border, just like inflation, just like our economy, I said, wow, this place is in trouble, meaning our country. All of these things were out of control. But the border was out of control. We fixed it with the strongest border anywhere in the world.
So, like I said, I encourage everyone to go and watch the rest of that speech. Donald Trump is breaking away from these countries, and it's almost like he's baiting them to want him gone, because what we have with NATO is both parties have to agree. So if we came and we said, you know what's happening in Ukraine, we don't like it, we want out. Then the EU could say, oh, well, you're a Russian agent, you're trying to, get out of NATO so that Russia could come and take us over. No, he wants to get NATO, this is my opinion, he wants to get NATO to say, we don't like what you're doing, why don't you leave? And he'll say, yes, thank you, we're out of here. We're not giving you any more money. Fund your own defense, and we'll fund ours, and we're taking Greenland on the way out, and have fun with getting run over by Russia because we have given you so much and you won't give back. So I appreciate you letting us leave. Goodbye. And I think that that's a good thing. And obviously you'd have to listen to the full speech, but just the way that he's messaging things is framing it like, you guys aren't doing that great. We need to break away from you so that we can continue to have a country over here. So that's all I have for you today. If any more news about the World Economic Forum comes up, I might not do a special show on it, but I'll intermix it with other news throughout the week. Richard should be back this weekend, so hopefully we can both get into all this. I love having him as a guest host or as a co-host because he provides a nice alternate opinion to mine, and I think that I level him out, and I think that he teaches me things, and I probably have a history lesson in the back of my head for all different things that he brings up, and we complement each other well. He is on vacation this week, but when he comes back, we're going to get into all the news from throughout the week, everything going on with Minnesota, everything going on with especially Tim Walz and how he's been caught in scandal after scandal after scandal, and we'll cover anything else that comes up. But thank you for watching. Please remember to like and share the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment. The comments help, the likes help, the shares help. We need to get this information out there to expose the things like this globalist World Economic Forum that are eroding our national sovereignty and destroying our economies, and trying to push us into an AI technocratic global government super surveillance state that you will have no privacy, you will have no rights, you will have no freedoms, and that is not the world that we want to live in. That is not the America that our founding fathers fought and died for, and that is not what God wants for us. And I really think that it's important that people understand this information, and that it's important for people to share the videos, share any content, start your own podcast. I think we have an affiliate link in the description for the streaming service we use and the clipping service that we use for our YouTube shorts and everything. So if you are going to start a podcast, use those links, And we thank you for watching. And this is Tomorrow's America. Tune in next time.